Give it a couple seconds here. Make sure we're live in all places. Hello, gorgeous. How are you? My name is Kaitlyn, Psychic Moon Mentor, and I'm excited to share another cosmic tea time chat today. And as the new moon is rolling in, this feels like a perfect topic to dive into, the topic of rest and resistance. And do I really need rest or resistance? And so we're going to dive into that today with my special guest, Amy, who's kind enough to join us. But just quickly, in case some of you are here who don't know, as a psychic moon mentor, I work with women to make money doing what you love. And so diving in to align and journey with the moon so that you can trust your intuition, so that you can create this vision that's in your mind and bring it to reality and feel more fulfillment in your life. So it's a little bit about what I do. So excited to have Amy here. We connected on Instagram. Her handle over there is the Awakening Mama. Amy, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Amy Titus. I am a wellness coach and spiritual development coach. And also, I like to refer to myself as a radical self compassion coach because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. But I work with mamas who are struggling with stress and overwhelm and just feeling that pressure to create a strong spiritual practice so that they can connect with their highest self and just create more clarity and calm in their lives and then connect with their families from a place of heart centered realness. And it's really fun, just getting to work with mamas as they're opening up to their spirituality and watching them use their heightened intuition in their everyday life, whether that's like work or with their kids or with their partner, because we're also powerful as mamas, as you know, Kaitlyn.
Yes, right? Isn't it
Yes.
a wild journey? I feel like, getting pregnant and being a mom, it's just different like spiritual expansion as you connect with
Yes.
like life in a new way, and then just somehow
Mhm.
intuitively, right, you know what your body needs, you know what your baby needs, and it's like, I don't know how I know this, but when you trust those things, it's like you get exactly what you
Yes.
need. I can remember those days, yeah, carrying my
Yes.
littles.
It's like trust. And I messaged you. I was like, can you
Yeah.
like my son? I'm having some issues with his sleep, and it's so nice to be able to create that community of not just moms, but moms who are focused on the same kind of things, like that spiritual growth and understanding like how that relates in their lives and their parenting. So. Whenever I find a new spiritual mama, I'm like, let's be friends because
Yes, let's be friends, let's sit together. Right, absolutely. And especially as, we're moms, like it gets a little bit more hectic. I don't know if you can relate to this and the clients and the people that you serve, but even before kids, right? It's like, well, I put other people first, then I serve in all these different ways and I make sure others' needs are met. And then it's like, oh, wait a second, right? So much of the work that I do with people is bring them on this journey inwards and like, hold
yeah,
on, if you rest a little bit more, if you play a little bit more, like
yeah,
I can help you make more money. Like
yes,
like doing that, right?
yes, yeah. I definitely relate to that, and in my work, it's about like, yes, a lot of times when we talk about motherhood, it's always in direct relation to like our kids and like what they need, right? And how to best give
Mm,
to them.
yeah.
And my perspective is like, you're a mom, that's a whole thing in and of itself. And you've changed as a person. Like, let's get you aligned, let's get you straight so that the symptom of that is your kids are in a better spot because you're a better mom. But that's the symptom.
Yeah.
That's not what we're like super focused on.
Yes,
I love
exactly.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. Yes. We're
So
on the same
whether
page.
it's yeah, whether it's the moon you're interested in aligning with, or whether you're a mama and you like need to align like your own energy again, like you're in the right place, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
so tonight we're diving into this topic of rest, right? And usually we like know when we need rest. You might be feeling more tired. You might be more like a little bit more sensitive as far as like easily triggered and like more reactive. And there's also another option, another sort of category there, right? Of like, is the ego getting in the way? Am I
Mhm.
blocking myself from my next up level,
Yeah.
right? In like this form of protection when I'm trying to say, oh no, I need rest now. So
Mhm.
which is it? So let's dive into that a little bit. And I know for myself, like as we lean into these phases right before the new moon that's happening this weekend. I think she peaks on Sunday. This is really a time to slow down, to
Mhm.
to nourish, to rest, to go within, to continue to let go. Right. So let us know in the comments. Like, are you feeling that? Do you sort of feel aligned with that? What's coming up for you lately? But yeah, talk a little bit about, knowing that it's true, like aligned, like, okay, I do need to slow down a little bit.
Absolutely. So for me, rest is such a very huge thing because, like I was telling you, I'm a projector in my human design, and so there's such a focus, especially for moms and women in general. We do so much, like women are so amazing, but like there's such a focus on doing and getting stuff done, and like that's somehow sometimes how we get our worthiness, right? Like we feel
Mhm.
better when we're like adding stuff on, and so we sometimes like push out of our mind or push out of our body when we have that genuine need for rest. And I've always been, really a huge proponent of just like stopping and resting as much as you can. But sometimes, like when we, like you were saying, when we are trying to level up, our egoic resistance pops up. Oftentimes speak so negatively about the ego, and it's like a beautiful mechanism. Like I love the ego, it helps us with our desires and our wants and like all these things. But the egoic resistance comes up, and it's like, oh, you should rest, like you should slow down, like, oh, don't go for that, just sit back and just wait on it, just wait, even though everything is aligned and you're actually wanting to move forward, because that ego is really just trying to keep us safe, right? It just wants to make sure that we don't make any mistakes, that we don't push past too many boundaries and end up like homeless and foodless and, on the street or whatever. Like that survival is its primary function.
Yeah,
So
or that we
you
don't
can
repeat some of the hurt that we've experienced in the past, that we don't like
exactly.
embarrass ourselves, or that we don't face like
Mhm.
some harsh criticism or like rejection. Like those are
Yes.
real things that your ego wants to protect you and keep you safe.
Hmm. And it's like, you can always tell when it's the voice of the ego because that's what it brings up. It's like, oh, remember that one time though that you were embarrassed, and then you have that full like visceral reaction of like, oh, that was so humiliating, and so that like stops you in your tracks sometimes, or stops the momentum of going forward because you're like, well, that didn't work out, so maybe I am wrong this time again. And so that fear, right, that flavor or tone of fear is always a good indicator that, what, this is my ego talking. Does
That's a
that make
good
sense?
point. Yeah, like if
Mhm.
there's, yeah, what I'm hearing you say, like, pay attention to the story that's sort of
Yeah,
attached to it, and maybe if
exactly.
there's a story of like I was talking to a client today, and she, is on this next goal to really up level and get like the highest level that she's been in sales,
Hmm.
and she was saying to like how resistance is coming up for her, but the story that's coming up is like I don't even feel like I have like good customers or like people who can like show up for
Hmm.
me. But that's a story,
Hmm.
right? That's like,
Yeah,
wait a second, of course you do. Like you're making sales and like there are tons of people around who like support you and love you. But right internally, like that was coming up as she's trying to schedule and reach this next big goal.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So then it's like when these things pop up, right? We can, and becoming more aware of those different voices in your head, that's critical. That's the whole point of spiritual growth, or like one of the many different points along the journey, because then you
Mm.
can really say, oh, I know that's ego, or oh, I know that's not the place that I want to be coming from right now, or like, oh, okay, I know that's my highest self. I feel the resonance of that. I can feel the resonance of, okay, that's my guide. Like, hey, Patricia, like, what's up,
Right,
girl?
exactly. Give it a name. Exactly. Yeah, I love doing that. Yeah.
And so that's the big difference. But egoic resistance is like super important as a teacher, right? Because we never just want to be like, oh, ego, like get out of here, I'm not listening to you, like go sit down. We want to listen to what that ego has to say for a couple of different reasons. One, it always has something super important to say around where you are emotionally and mentally, subconsciously, right? Like you want to like, okay, so that's where I am, that some part of me, that's where that part is, right? And then also because we want to nurture that part. So if something's coming up to tell me like, oh, well, nobody, read your last whatever it was, right? So I can go back and talk to that version of myself, right? That wrote that piece that nobody read, even though, people read it, but nobody read it, and
Yeah.
talk to her about her fears and her concerns and what she needs from me in order to be healed and soothed. Because the more that we look away from or, kind of shush down those parts of us, the louder and louder they get, and the more they like shapeshift into different things and pop up all over the place. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, they just like multiply like little gremlins. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and I'm hearing like shadow work. Like who out there,
Yeah.
whether you're here live, whether you're here in the replay, like who's done shadow work? Like let us know in the comments. Like, yes, comment shadow. Have you done some shadow work? How do you sort of operate with shadow work? Because this is often a way that I explain it, exactly what you're talking about, right? Where we meet this shadow aspect of ourselves, this our dark side, if you will, right? Those things we might like a little bit less about ourselves, or we've been conditioned to not like or appreciate about
Mhm,
ourselves.
mhm,
Um, and it's part of us, right? And so the shadow, we're not meant to like dispel that and like get away from it. We're meant to like integrate it and sort of accept
mhm.
it and like make peace with it
Yeah.
because it is a part of us, just
Mhm.
like the ego, like we're talking about.
Absolutely. And then it's like sometimes, we really are just tired. And it's like, well, that's all there is to it, and we need to
Yeah.
rest. And you can tell that by just doing body checks, like where are you tired? You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like when I get tired, it's all like it's mentally tired, but it's
Yeah.
also like, emotionally tired, and those are legitimate as well, right? Like, okay, so what kind of rest you need? Like maybe I just need to watch Netflix for a couple hours. Maybe I legitimately need to go to bed early, have my husband take the night shift, wake up late, and really get that legitimate sleep rest. And then sometimes it's like, maybe there's one thing that's draining me. Like I need to step away from my work or I need to step away from whatever it is,
Right.
for however long that I need. And I think that's the other thing too. When we set expectations around like how long we need to step away, it's never good. We just have to go with the flow and trust and just let yourself rest as long as you need to. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, maybe it's like I need a break from this activity. I need a break from this work assignment. I need a break from technology for a little bit. Like I need to go
yeah.
reconnect with nature and get outside. And then, yeah, check in with yourself to know like how long you need, or like it's okay to give yourself a break, like that can be
Mhm,
rest. And I think
mhm.
being careful, like how I know it's resistance, and I'm a little embarrassed to like tell this story, but I'm going to tell it.
Yeah.
So it's something that's been coming up recently because I've gotten into creative writing this year, right? Had a super exciting launch a few weeks ago with a book that I co-authored with some
Mhm.
other authors, Soul Alchemy, which was beautiful and so exciting. And I decided to go and do like my own project now, right? Okay. So it's happening. I'm excited about it. And as the weeks go on, I notice like, oh, I'm missing like the group calls. Like
Mhm.
I'm not showing up for it. Like, what am I doing? And then I write on my calendar, I set like alarms. I still missed like the group calls for this commitment that I'm excited about. But,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, right? And so I'm recognizing, oh, this is a resistance where I'm sort of distracting myself, putting
Yeah.
myself in other situations where I'm paying more attention to like the work that I need doing or this thing I have to do for a
Mm.
client over here.
Mhm. Sure.
And so, like you mentioned, it's like, okay, I have to be honest with myself. Like, clearly, I'm distancing this. This is like a subconscious block that I have. But
Sure.
going towards it, like, what is this? Why am I
Mhm.
afraid to dive into this?
Mhm.
What is coming up? Where do I feel this? Right. And going
Yeah.
back to which I thought that it would before I started, right? When I committed this year, of like, no, like I'm afraid. I quit writing when I was like, in middle school and stopped creative writing. And I mean, I've used it since in like other ways, but not creative, like for passion, for pleasure, for me.
I love
And
it.
so like revisiting now is like drawing up all those old feelings
Yeah.
from, when I was like 12 or whatever. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this feels messy. But once I did that and met myself there and was like, okay, like I see you, I hear you, gave that a voice. Okay, guess what happened? I was able to meet like the next meetings and like
Yeah.
start actually working on this project that I am excited about and passionate about. right? But certainly experienced like resistance
Yeah.
around.
And I love that point because it sometimes it can be so hard, especially for us who are doing our work. It's because your ego could have said, "Oh, you're not making these things. It must not be for you. It's not right. It's not divine timing. It's not,
Mm,
it's not aligned, and that's why you're missing it, right?" So being so self-aware,
mhm.
knowing what our value system is, knowing what our intention is. I always say intention plus belief are the most powerful things
Yeah.
like on this planet, period, right? So it's like I know this is my intention, I know this is what I'm trying to do, I know what my belief is, like okay, this is what exactly what I'm supposed to do. It's not resistance. Let's move forward, like let's get over these little humps, and heal whatever needs to be healed, because I know I've done that so many times in the past, like because
Yeah.
I'm much better at it now. But just like, oh well, it must not. Especially very early on my spiritual journey, I was like, oh well, I guess I'm not supposed to be at this job since I don't want to go, or like whatever it is.
Right.
Like, oh,
This
I'm
isn't
really
meant
supposed
for
to
me. Yeah.
go. Like, no, girl, get your butt to work. Like, go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I talk about that, like what you're talking about now is like the first quarter moon phase, right? Of like,
Mhm.
we have to think about, okay, is it connected to like our intention of like what we truly like
Mhm.
desire, right?
Yeah.
Like our joy, our peace, our fulfillment, whatever that is, that abundance.
Mhm.
Like, is that what I'm avoiding? Like this opportunity that I chose, but I'm also now that it's coming up to, I'm like second guessing
Yes.
if that's what's happening, it's probably like a first quarter moon type of energy where
Mm.
the universe is saying, like, giving you challenges, but
Sure.
as an opportunity for you to align with the new thing, right?
Mhm.
And so instead of like saying, like, what we're talking about, like, oh, that's not meant for me. Oh, the timing isn't right. It's like, no, I hear what you want. And like, you have free will. Do you
Yep.
want it? Are you going to make the new choice or are you going to repeat?
Mhm.
And so you're right. This self awareness is so important in that, which is
Yeah.
why, when I started my Facebook group a few years ago, I started working with like mamas and encouraging mamas, like connect with yourself, make that time, even if it's 1 minute, like one
Yeah.
minute of mindful meditation, 1 minute of breath consistently a day is going
Mhm.
to add up and
Yeah.
help you so much.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be like an hour meditation or 30 minutes. Maybe it is, but it doesn't have to be.
Mm-mm. Yeah. I love that you say that. I say literally the exact same thing because people think that because meditation in our culture is such a scary word. I feel like for a
Yeah.
lot of people that don't get it, or like who are new to it, or maybe have like the wrong conception around like what it really is. And so
Mm,
it just scares so many people off, but it's like the most powerful way to connect. And yeah, you have 1 minute, do it every day, period. Like doing it. I I started meditating with my son in the middle of the night when I was breastfeeding, right? Because like you're just sitting there, like what are you supposed to do in the dark, like
yeah,
for
I
like an hour?
bet. Yeah.
And now I still do it. Like I told you, he's having some sleep problems. So like as I'm sitting there and just like rocking him, I'm like, all right, let me just tune in here,
Yeah.
um, so I don't go crazy, and it's great. It's great, you
Right.
know.
You do what you can, yeah, when you can. And like messy action, that is the best. Like it's better than not doing. It's better than not going after it. Which is what I'm passionate about helping people with. It's like, yes, I want to help you make money doing what you love. I want to help you trust your intuition, and
Yeah.
I want to help you like do it now. Start now. Start meeting some of the
Mhm.
shadow part of yourself, like we've been talking about,
Yeah.
and friggin' finally arrive at like this place where you start getting that abundance and clear those blocks. And it's like, oh shit, I can do this. Like, okay,
Yes.
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 And so, yeah, if you're craving this, whether you're here live, whether you're here, on the replay and craving this, drop moon in the comments. I have a beautiful immersion experience where we're going to do just this, starting after the summer solstice, which I'm super excited about. So if you're the least bit curious and, are tingling and like, oh yeah, okay, this is me. This feels aligned. Drop moon in the comments and I'll reach out to you or you can message me. And Amy, how can people work with you? Where can they find you?
Yeah. So I am on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, all the things, under The Awakening Mama, and also at theawakeningdesign.com. And yeah, I just I started my intentional spiritual practice around 12 years ago, and I suffered a great loss. I lost my daughter, and it was terrible. And like so many terrible things, like truly, truly terrible things, it starts us on this path of wanting to understand more, right? So, like, that's how I
Mhm.
got started. And um, through that, I just started learning different modalities and practices and adding them. And then I started coaching. And it all happened very like haphazardly. Like I took on a coach because someone was like, "You're so, you're so intuitive. Like, let's work together." I'm like, "Okay," and kind of built from there. It was not like this intentional thing,
Yeah.
which is so funny because I always wanted to be like a therapist when I was growing up. People would be like, "What do you want to be?" And I'm like, "Oh, a therapist." And I was like 7 or something. So, like, but yeah. So I just work with moms right now, and I also work with other people. But I'm really focusing on mamas right now, just because everything that's going on. Galactically, everything that's going on
Mm.
energetically in this dimension and other dimensions, it's a really crucial time right now for the light workers, and I call them the lightning rods. So the people who are grounding love into the planet right now,
Oh, I like
um,
that. Yeah.
for us to just understand our inherent power and how
Mm.
powerful we are. I mean, like, we just don't understand. We have no real way to understand how powerful we are except for to see the evidence of it. Just like you were saying, like when people start getting those wins, they're like, "Oh shoot! Like, look at what I can do." So
Yeah.
it's very similar in that way. But yeah, so that's where you can find me. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes. Yeah, guys, if you're a mama or know a mama, like find Amy, follow her. And yeah, trust your curiosity. And like now is the time. Now is the time to align your energy and like align with that joy. Like she said, everything in the cosmos is like lining up for this and connect with your community, connect with the healer. And I'm so excited to see what you manifest. So thank you, Amy, for being here. This was so much fun today. I appreciate
So
you taking
fun. Thank
time.
you, Caitlin.
All right, everyone. Happy moon manifesting. We'll chat later.
Afternoon. Bye bye.